Welcome back to Power Play. Well, the issue of same-sex marriage and LGBTQ rights has once again taken over the Conservative Party leadership race. Today, two leading Conservative leadership contenders weighed in on what ended up being political kryptonite for Andrew Scheer, marching in pride parades. As McKay and O'Toole duke it out over marching in a pride parade, another Conservative leadership hopeful has sparked controversy with his views on sexuality. This is rookie MP Derek Sloan's response to an interview I had last week with another leadership hopeful, a guy named Richard Descaries, another prospective candidate hoping to win over the social conservative wing of the party. Mr. Descaries was on this program, and he declared that being gay is a choice. He was roundly condemned by many senior members, but not the social conservative Derek Sloan, who wrote, "Is being gay a choice? No, not in my opinion, but this is a complicated issue, and I'm not a scientist." What exactly does he mean? Why does he need a scientist to decide someone's sexuality? Let's find out. Mr. Sloan is with me now. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Okay, can you unpack that? You said you don't agree that being gay is a choice, but it's complicated. What's complicated?
It's a really good question. So if you actually look into the research surrounding sexuality, there's a lot going on there. So I'm not sitting here to tell you what exactly is, but if you look at some of the researchers like Lisa Diamond and other people of that nature, this isn't a black and white thing. So like my statement is there a biological component? Absolutely. But the science right now is saying that, yes, there's biological components, but there's many other factors that play into it. And they don't even know how they all work together.
What do you mean? So I'm just trying to, so what are you saying? You don't believe that being gay is just a biological identity the same way that you're a heterosexual?
No, I'm not saying that. I guess what I'm trying to say is that the scientific conversation has moved beyond what the popular conversation is. And even this weekend, I was spending time going over different scientists in the field, and I think that they would be more...
Why, though? I'm just trying to figure this out. For example, do you need a scientist to determine if you're a heterosexual? Like, is that a complicated issue for you?
So it's not about me telling someone else what they are, but what I am trying to say is that the conversation on this issue isn't as simple as sort of the media rhetoric has been. In relation to...
But what do you mean? So if someone identifies as gay, what are you saying? Well, you may think that, but it's complicated.
No. So that is fine. But in terms of... So for example, the idea that there is a specific biological etiology or, cause is not true. Like, I'm just saying...
What do you mean it's not true?
Like, I'm borrowing words from the American Psychological Association.
But why are you? What I'm saying is, here you are, you realize that this is a controversial issue. You realize that your views by many conservatives are called divisive and bigoted. You realize that LGBTQ people have higher rates of violence against them, higher rates of suicide. Sure. And by saying that, this is complicated. It's like you're saying, look, it implies that there's something, it's not just an identity. Well, it's like there's something defective about it that we need a little more research.
No. Whether or not what you said is true, that doesn't connect to the rights argument. So whatever the cause of sexual orientation, which I still maintain is scientifically unclear. Like, I feel that is the position of science right now. So they believe there's...
Why as an MP, why are you fighting this issue? You are trying to research the science on people's sexuality. Why?
Listen.
There's a political component to it. What is it?
The political component here, I think, is the response to Descaries' comments. So I don't agree with what he said, but what I am saying is that I believe it got blown into a bigger sort of situation than it needed to be because people missed the nuance. So I understand there's a day-to-day conversation, but there's also a scientific conversation. Really what I'm saying is, like, this is a scientific conversation.
Sorry, but you're saying there's a nuance to being gay is a choice? What's the nuance? What's the nuance of that? You tell me.
What I'm saying is the conversation around sexuality, identity, gender, sexual orientation, all of these things is an ongoing conversation, and it is something that science knows a lot about, but it also doesn't know a lot of things.
The reason why your tweet got so much negative responses, it's the equivalent. It's not a perfect equivalent. Yeah. If someone said, I don't believe that women are hysterical and they can't read, but it's complicated, or they can't lead, but it's complicated, and I'm no scientist. It's like you're trolling. You're going to throw out this troll that has very divisive and hurtful consequences. You appreciate that, don't you?
Okay, so let me just say two things. So in my platform, there's nothing in there about changing same-sex marriage or anything like that. So I have nothing that I will be bringing forward that will change any of this.
So you don't support like conversion therapy?
No, listen.
Do you?
So are we talking about the Senate bill or what is that?
The conversion therapy where there's actually programs that people try to re-educate someone who's gay out of that. Do you support those?
So again, I think the issue is that all of these conversations are nuanced. And so, I was trying to have a little bit of that earlier. So in relation to this particular issue, I absolutely think, especially when we're talking about kids who may be, are being pushed towards taking drugs and maybe even surgery to change their anatomical gender, I think a first choice should be, hey, can we do like some body affirming counseling? Is there any way we can help these kids?
Okay, but but hang on. Before we talk about surgery, do you believe in conversion therapy? So it's a yes or no.
Yeah, the reason I raise that is because the definition of conversion therapy is so broad, it would cover body affirming counseling to help kids accept the gender they're born with. So that's the argument here.
You would like to counsel people to accept the biological identity. So can I ask you, let me just ask you a question on transgender identity.
Can I respond? I just want to respond to this. I don't think anybody should be forced to do anything they don't want to do. But if somebody wants to receive gender or body affirming counseling, when they're going through a position of what's going on with me, they should be able to have that. So,
sir, just for the record,
yes,
body affirming counseling sounds a heck of a lot like conversion therapy. You realize that, right? Well, and a lot of people that have been through it are going to say, "Boy, you're forcing that on me." I mean, you see where, why are you treading on all this turf?
Evan, I am not saying anybody should be forced to do anything. What I am saying is that if your 12-year-old comes to you. And I mean, we know a lot of kids that go through these feelings grow out of them by the time they're adults. So
we know people grow out of their feelings that they're gay by the time they're adult?
No, I'm not talking about being gay. I'm talking about transgender. So
now, this is a new thing. Okay.
Yeah. So kids who go through different feelings of I may be this or that. Like this.
Is that different? So now you're saying being transgender is different than being gay? Like, is that a different? Now you're saying there's a different. I'm just trying to figure it out.
I'm speaking specifically about this issue in kids. Many kids who think that they are not their birth gender change by the time they're adults. So if they persist until adulthood, it often remains. But what I'm saying is we have to be very careful about kids who are making this decision, and we have to say, hey, like.
But persist, you're making it seem like they have a deficiency. If they persist, they are struggling with identity. Let me ask you something. Do you support Bill C-16? Do you remember that? Do you know what that bill was?
Yes, I do.
Okay. To remind people, this is the bill that updated the Canadian Human Rights Act and the Criminal Code to include terms like gender identity and gender expression. It was passed in the House. Would you vote for that?
I would not have voted for that.
You would not. It was to protect transgender and LGBT communities from the violence, and you would not vote for that.
Okay. So obviously I'm against. I don't want anybody.
You're obviously against what?
I'm obviously against violence, and I'm obviously against. Here's the thing: the issue that I had with C-16 is very similar to the issues that Jordan Peterson brought out in terms of the compelled speech aspect. So that is my concern. Obviously, I don't have any issue with transgender and LGBT people being treated fairly and properly, but the compelled speech issue of that bill is a concern.
But are you not concerned about the health and safety of people that are getting beaten, abused, bullied, suicide rates?
Absolutely.
So what are you more concerned about? Canadians who identify differently than maybe you do. The concern, and I know we got just a minute left, the concern is when an elected member of Parliament who wants to run to be the leader of the Conservative Party of Canada is tweeting out, sort of trolling out, maybe we should, these are complex issues that we need scientists. There's a lot of people whose identities are gay or LGBTQ or transgender, and they're like, this guy's basically looking at me like I'm, quote, defective, or I persist and I need to be fixed. They feel that you are being divisive.
I would end by the comment that everything I said there would be well within the mainstream of modern science when it comes to gender and identity and orientation. Like, I'm just telling you, just start Googling some stuff. Lisa Diamond, Susanna Walters.
I've read a lot of it, but you know, Michelle Rempel-Gardner, who's in your own party, says you're offside. She doesn't think people like Descaries should run with this. And you are leading the Conservative Party, which no longer... has a stand against same-sex marriage down the wrong path.
Okay, so in all honesty, I didn't make the same comments as Descaries, and there's been different criticisms and so forth of Descaries, but none of what I'm going to run on is. None of what I'm running on is going to change any of these rights. So I believe Decarie has a plan to do some changes, but none of that is part of my plan. What I'm trying to say is I don't like the idea of an ideological litmus test for leaders, and I think it's fair that leaders are able to come forward and that the membership can vote for them. And I think that's very important.
Right. Okay, but parties stand for things. Michelle Rempel-Gardner, a conservative, says you're normalizing bigotry. So it's not that. So you can say it's under the guise of free speech.
Are you saying she said that about me or about Decarie?
Decarie and this kind of.
Yeah, because I didn't.
So
in all honesty, you are conflating some comments about Decarie with me,
fair
which
enough,
isn't entirely fair.
I agree with that. But
I think,
my point,
in all fairness, I think people
is,
should vote for me instead of Decarie.
But you'll get the money. Okay, the point what she's saying is that the party cannot under the guise of defending free speech, is it normalizing divisiveness? That's your concern.
Okay, so here's the thing here. I mean, if you take a look at our party's if you take a look at our policy declaration, you know, we have our principle 7, which is free votes, specifically mentioning these type of issues. Okay. So, I mean, it's okay for people to have different. I mean, we do have different views in our caucus within our party base on this type of thing. It's okay. And it's kind of like let the best person win. All
right. Well, listen. Looks like you're going to raise the $300,000. You think you're going to raise that?
I fully expect to.
Yeah. Well, I look forward to more debates. I appreciate you coming on, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Thank you.